Hi! Welcome to part 1 of my review featuring Terra Arisen. This is a setting for Cepheus Deluxe, and of course, it's also compatible with any other role-playing game using the Cepheus engine or Traveller engine, the OGL sci-fi system that many of you know. So if you have your manual of Traveller 2nd edition or similar games, you can also use this setting for those. And I think it's also worth it to convert this setting to other games such as Stars Without Number or perhaps Savage Worlds with the science fiction supplement. Terra Arisen features a humanity who has liberated itself from the tyrannical grip of the Reticulan Empire. Now humanity is interacting with other species, including the Reticulans, in an environment of interstellar conflict, politics, exploration, and commercial ventures. Let's talk about the quality of the PDF. When you purchase this setting, you obtain two files: the core book itself, but also a set of maps and deck plans, plans for different ships, and maps of the different subsectors. The included maps and plans look very clean, very neat. It's very easy for you to find the information that you are looking for. Now, when it comes to the setting document itself, it is well organized and written, very well explained with bookmarks and hyperlinks. The graphic design is somewhat minimalistic. You do have some embellishments near the upper and lower edge of each page. However, these embellishments become somewhat pixelated if you zoom in too much. Now, when it comes to the illustrations, the art, I have a mixed opinion about it. Some of the pieces I really like. In general, they are old school type of illustrations. They do not pay too much attention to proportion at times, but they are more focused on portraying or displaying exciting scenes, the sorts of adventures that you will experience in this setting. However, you also have digital art in full color. In the case of the old school style illustrations, some of them are also in full color, but there are a few of them that feel they could have used a bit of polish. Maybe it's somewhat subjective on my part, so as you watch the different parts of this review, I will let you be the judge of that. So overall, the quality is really good. Now let's talk about the contents. Terra Arisen introduces player characters to the immediate aftermath of the Terran Liberation War against the mighty Reticulan Empire and its many thralls. The Terrans forced the Reticulan Empire to sign a humiliating peace treaty and reluctantly accept Terran independence from the Empire. The upstart Terrans, bolstered by their victory against their old masters, are becoming a power to be reckoned with in interstellar affairs. On a backdrop of espionage, maneuvering, and saber-rattling on new interstellar frontiers, bold player characters can leave their marks as heroes or villains of the new United Terran Republic, or UTR. This book provides background information, a 16 by 20 hex star map covering most of the UTR, and write-ups of all 120 major worlds in this area, as well as other materials necessary to run a science fiction role-playing campaign in the exciting times of the 23rd century. You have information on the authors: Omer Golan Joel, Josh Peters, and Richard Hazelwood. All three of them together have the necessary information to create a believable setting. They have backgrounds in history, in herpetology and math, and Richard Hazelwood, one of the authors, served 8 years in the US Navy, operating nuclear reactors and submarines. He also works for a major US airline. So all three authors are equipped with the proper tools to make this setting feel real. Terra Arisen takes place in 2260 CE, 2 years after the Terran CISEC victory in the Terran Liberation War against the mighty Reticulan Empire. This is a time of uneasy peace, when all sides of the previous war, as well as newly established polities and client states, plot their next moves, and vie for political, military, and economic power. For the referee and players, this is a time brimming with conflict, drama, and opportunity for bold player characters to make a name for themselves and maybe change the course of history. The Terran Liberation War, called the Terran Rebellion by the Reticulans, colors and influences every aspect of this setting. Many of the worlds in the Terran borderlands were battlegrounds of the war, and the remains of countless battles litter their surfaces and low orbits. The war affected the life of almost every Terran who lived through it. Most human characters in the game who take military careers fought in the war, and in many cases were demobilized recently with the transition to a peacetime military. For reticulans who support the technocratic movement, this was a war of liberation from outdated imperial rule, but for imperial reticulans, this war was a shameful disaster, where the upstart Terran barbarians, instead of adhering to their rational place in interstellar affairs, had the audacity to challenge the Empire and the impudence to win. Immensely old and vast beyond any Terran comparison, the Reticulan Empire rules over more than a sector of space. From the Terran border on the Corward side to the contested Chivak territories in the far rimward, the imperial system consists of vertical and horizontal monopolies held by the 9 great houses. Each great house controls most of the economic activity within its domain, and most of the population in its territory is in its employ. The Empress rules over the great houses and is, in theory at least, the richest and most powerful individual in known space. The Reticulans also rule over a significant number of client and thrall species, providing the Empire with resources and expeditionary troops for their conquests. Terra and the space she carved out of the stars by force of arms is a new thorn in the side of the Reticulan Empire. By defeating House Thiragen, the wealthiest of the great houses, the Terrans established themselves as a force to be reckoned with. The Reticulans consider us, the Terrans, to be barbarian upstarts, but we answered their oppression with the Terran War of Liberation. Now the guns are quiet, but remain pointed at the enemy, especially considering some Reticulans want revenge. The Terrans are now a rising force in interstellar politics and economics, and are pushing to quickly colonize the wide open frontiers of space. Terran victory created 2 new interstellar polities, both of which are Terran client states. The first is the Ceslesian Harmony. Centuries ago, the Reticulans glassed the Ceslesian homeworld, forcing them to become nomads and thralls of the Empire. Highly spiritual but sectarian, the Ceslesians maintain multiple mystery cults to their numberless gods, all presided over by the Council of Harmony. Following victory in the war, the UTR gave 2 former Reticulan worlds, Mehen and Hormungandr, to the Ceslesians as their new homeworlds. It is important to note that before the war, many Reticulans began to question the rationale behind the imperial system and saw it as an inefficient, imprudent apparatus. Instead, they proposed a technocracy, a rule by experts and scientists rather than hereditary nobles. This underground and highly illegal technocratic movement supported the Terrans during the war, and at war's end these rebels founded the Reticulan Technate, protected by Terran gunships. To the spinward rimward dwell the tribal reptilian Sisek. The Sisek have a distaste for any political framework larger than a tribe of at most several thousand. Sisek males are highly competitive and driven to acquire glory, the social currency of male Sisek society. As glory changes quickly over time, so does the Sisek hierarchy. Leaders rise and fall, and only a particularly glorious male may hope to unite several tribes under his command. And I am just giving you a glimpse of the entire affair. As I proceed with the other parts of this setting, you will know more about the situation. and the different species that participate in this interstellar chess game. This is a time of great danger among the stars, as well as great opportunities. Enterprising, ambitious individuals can find opportunities in a wide variety of ventures, from diplomacy and espionage along the border, to trade and commerce between the far stars, to mercenary work in the many local and interstellar conflicts, to exploration of unknown worlds beyond the frontier, or even active duty military life in these interesting times. Bold action and adventure await among the stars. And this concludes this part of the review. In the next part, we are going to talk about character creation. So as you can see, this is a very exciting setting. There is a certain realism to it, but there's also quite a bit of pulp action. Players will participate as a group of different aliens. They could be from the same species, perhaps all humans or all Ceslesians, or you could have a mixed group working together to make their way through this dangerous interstellar web. Thank you for watching this part of the review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that have been supporting the channel by sending drive-thru RPG gift certificates. If anyone else wants to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.